So do you think that the U.S. Supreme Court should let the Biden administration forgive certain amounts of student loan debt? I want to hear from you. 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. That's how you can chime in live and local, or you can also message me on email, bishoponair@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just search Bishop on Air everywhere, and we can make that happen. But the time for you to call in is now, 217-629-7970. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to be hearing oral arguments today, and apparently you can listen to live audio, which that's going to be at U.S. Supreme Court's website, supremecourt.gov. That's a new feature. So today, the court's going to convene, and they're going to hear arguments in the case that several states have brought against the Biden administration, saying that he doesn't have the authority to forgive student loan debt of either $10,000 or $20,000, depending on the income level of those seeking the forgiveness, as they say. But when you hear words like free or forgiveness when it comes to government, it's going to be funded by the taxpayers somehow, and the estimation is that this is going to cost taxpayers $400 billion. Billion with a B. So what do you think? Should the U.S. Supreme Court allow the Biden administration to do this? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning, Greg. What are the odds we fart out another billion, next week to Ukraine?
Oh, no, it's already happened. I mean, Janet Yellen went over there and said, here's another $1 billion, Ukraine.
It's all just numbers on a page. I'm kind of worried about the administration saying they're really wanting to do this because he can do it by executive order. Why hasn't he? He campaigned on it. Right or wrong, agree or disagree, he said he was going to do this.
Yep.
He can do it now. He doesn't need to go through all these jumps and hoops and everything.
Well, but that's the argument here, is that he can't do this. You can't. The argument is you can't expend tax dollars without a vote of Congress, especially if it's going to be $400 billion.
He can wipe this away. There's some executive order he can do. I've heard it explained multiple times on different platforms. I'll send you the link. But yeah, he can do it. He just won't do it, which makes me wonder, does he really want to, or was it just to get elected?
Well, and is it going to be used as fodder in the next election coming up in 2024? Appreciate the call. But I think that the argument's going to be made in court whether the Biden administration has the ability to expend what could be $400 billion in student loan forgiveness. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Morning, Greg. I should be interesting today, but I certainly hope the court comes down and basically says, no, you can't do this. I mean, what about those of us who went to school, paid back our loans, the responsible thing to do, and it's not fair to those of us that did that. And I think that it was money that was not appropriated by Congress. It's an abuse of power. I absolutely agree with that. I think the court's going to come down and basically say to Biden, no, you can't do this.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, and I know that it's not just those who paid off their student loan debts that might be upset by this, but it's also those who didn't go to school, who instead took out loans to buy equipment, to start an electric company or a plumbing company or a drywall business or something in the trades, and they're not going to get paid back for their loans to get that initial bit of equipment, are they? So there's some frustrations there as well. A few more calls coming in. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, good morning, Greg.
Hey.
There's a term, I know in the new vernacular today and all that, nobody wants to hear this, but there's a term called moral hazard, where, in effect, you can't take care of yourself at the expense of, somebody else. You can't get in there. This whole loan thing is just the most politically motivated bias thing I've ever heard. I can't imagine how this could get by the equal protection clause of the Constitution.
Yeah, and I imagine some of these arguments are going to be made today. The U.S. Supreme Court set at 10 a.m., which I believe is 9 o'clock our time. And a first that I've seen, at least, you can listen to the arguments live in person via the internet. Typically, they wait a day or so to actually broadcast that, but they're going to be doing it live. So that's going to be fascinating. One last call here. Good morning. You're on WMAY. You would have been. You there? No? All right, let's go to this one. You're on WMAY. You made the cut. Good morning.
Morning, Greg. As far as this whole thing with student loan forgiveness, you know what first comes to me?
What's that?
It sounds like communism. Literally, the Soviet schools back in the old time during the Cold War, or even before that, they were literally proposing free colleges, and student loan was actually just like another thing, like everything was free. So, like, if you're cutting off debt, then you might as well have everything for free then.
And what does that type of thing do? The argument is that it inflates the cost even more, and then you get costs that are completely out of control and even more debts that you can't get a hold of. Hey, I appreciate the call, everybody. Always look forward to hearing from you guys, but we got to take a break, so we'll be talking about this in the future, no